if you have a fear of visibility or a fear of success, you will self-sabotage. And it's nothing to be fearful of. It's like, hell yeah, now I know why I keep doing that. Let's change it. Like, let's rewire my brain about it. Let's get energy work done so that I can move through this block, right? And so as you're creating these new places that you want to go, mentally, physically, spiritually, you will bump up against habits that no longer serve you. And then you'll get to recognize them and how to rewire to create better habits.
This is the Energy Within podcast, all about accessing, nurturing, and building your energy and confidence so that you can get unstuck and design your life the way you want. My name is Carrie Jokala. I am your host. I am a Reiki master, a fitness instructor, a wife, a mom to 2 little boys, and this is episode 122, and it is part 2 with my amazing and beautiful friend, Mindi Huebner. So I'm starting to bring back, as you noticed last week, I'm starting to bring back some guests that I've had on in the past, especially the ones where we specifically said we need to do this again. So here today is Mindi, and we are talking about so much to dive into. You're gonna want to take notes. You might feel like you have some homework after this one, but it's exciting homework. It's homework you're gonna want to do because it's gonna move you forward. So we're talking about habits, goal setting, keys to manifesting, mastering your outcomes. There's so much in this one again. So I can't wait to hear what your thoughts are. I can't wait to hear what it awakens and inspires in you. I won't keep you waiting any longer. Here we go. Mindi, I'm so excited to have you back. Yay!
Yay! Me too.
So I actually went back and looked up what number the previous podcast was. So if anyone missed the first one with Mindi, you have to go back and listen to it because it was so good. I was listening to it again the other day just as a refresher and realized that I told myself I was going to listen to it all the time, and I have not followed through on that, and I need to because there's such good information in there that even I need it again. So it is episode number 91, so you're going to want to go look that up. But for anyone who is here now and did not catch the first one, Mindi, would you please introduce yourself and say what you do?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Carrie. Thank you for having me here. I am Mindi Huebner, and I am an intuitive. I just added that this year.
Booyah!
Intuitive mindset mastery coach for women in business, women really established in their business. And I coach and guide them to reveal and release the bullshit that is holding them back from walking in and embodying the confident, wildly successful women they were made to be, to create the soul-aligned business, to have the extraordinary life. I rewire brains, and I am obsessed with it.
I need some rewiring. I think it's funny that, not laugh funny, but like interesting. Just how before you ever go into like creating a side hustle or starting a business or anything like that, I think most of us have or had the idea that like, oh, if you're in business for yourself, it's so easy because you're doing what you want to do. You can make up your own schedule, this and that and blah, blah, blah. And so you don't realize like, no, all of your like childhood wounds are going to come up, all the trauma that you face, like you're going to have to work through stuff. And especially if you're in like a coaching aspect or doing things in the spiritual realm or anything like that, like you're definitely going to have to face up to whatever's getting in your way because those are what your blocks are. You know, it's not just like, oh, I can't figure out how to put up a website. It's like, no, I can't figure out how to put up a website because I have this, abandonment, rejection thing from childhood.
Fear of visibility. Totally. No, you're totally on it. It's so interesting because I will talk to, look, you don't need the next shiny object. You don't need the next You don't need a Facebook ad. You don't need any of those things until you are walking as the woman who can implement those in an aligned way. If you have a fear of visibility or a fear of success, you will self-sabotage. And it's nothing to be fearful of. It's like, hell yeah, now I know why I keep doing that. Let's change it. Like, let's rewire my brain about it. Let's get energy work done so that I can move through this block, right? Yeah, it's like a gift when you wake up to realize you can shift all that. Like, you don't have to be stuck there. You're not fixed in that spot.
Mm-hmm. So I was telling Mindy before we officially started about how personally I was actually dragging very much so in my energy these last couple of weeks. Instead of the usual feeling fired up, it's a new year, let's set our goals, let's, just get the energy going and get motivated. And I just could not. And I think it's a combination of things personally, but then also there's a lot going on energetically in the world and the universe. Everything's in retrograde. So I just sat down yesterday to start kind of reestablishing what my habits need to be, what my goals are, how I'm going to figure out how to reach my goals. Because I don't know if anyone saw, if you saw my story from the other day, but I posted something about like going through and figuring out what my main area of focus needs to be. And I'm tired of it always being the same thing. I'm like, I want to push this domino over. I'm tired of my own BS. Like, let's start establishing what my goals are going to be and actually like get there. So, Mindy, you have the floor. Go ahead.
Okay. So, goal setting versus goal getting. Goals are great. I'm going to do probably a couple unpopular opinions. Goals are great. They're an aim and they're a direction and they're a purpose. And until we, one, look at the processes and the outcomes and see the difference in those and ultimately become the human who. Like, this is all about identity. The reason that we set goals and don't get them is because we set them from the place of the person not achieving them. You can't get there from here. Right? You can get there though. Absolutely. So goals, direction, aim, purpose. Next level from a goal is an outcome. The shit that really happens, right? Here is the result from the action or inaction that I took in pursuit of the goal. So outcomes, we see outcomes in our lives all the time. We don't always like them, but we see outcomes, right? I mean, we're constantly seeing outcomes in our life. Next level of that is the identity. Who are we being in there? So this is why we goal set and forget, and or the difference between goal setting and goal getting. We are not able to see that and or ready to walk in and or even understand that we get to walk as the woman who. So let's hit the keys for a second. So 7 steps to manifesting anything you want, like getting any goal that you want, success, whatever you want to call it, are knowing what you want. Like, you got to know, right? Here's the thing. Yeah, I want to make more money. I want to help people. I want to lose weight. Okay, none of that is like, there's nothing defined in there. And I'm not even talking about SMART goals. I'm talking about next level of that even. And I'll share an acronym for that to take you even deeper into that. We want measurable things. And at the same time, you get to measure based on how you're showing up in that. So it's very difficult to show up as a person who wants to make more money. If you don't know what that looks like, right? So knowing what you want, know what you want, and then taking the action to get there. And these are the simple steps, and then we'll go deeper on them.
Can I interrupt you for one second? Because I had an image come up while you were saying about showing up as someone who wants to make more money and what that would actually look like. Like, I feel like someone who's showing up in the energy of someone who wants to make more money versus someone who is making more money or is capable of making more money, like that different mindset shift. the one who wants to make more money is going to show up looking desperate and looking like they don't know what they're doing and like they're maybe floundering around a little bit. Who may have been me in the past, like I feel that different energy about it, like owning, like you were saying, like stepping into,
this is part of it. Like
we are women who,
yes. So you're showing up as the woman who is going to make more money.
Yeah.
Right. Like this is the difference for you. You're stepping into the identity. So knowing what you want and taking action based on what you want. Right. And then checking the data. Like this is really important for us. And these are, I keep saying this, but these are the basics. And then we're going to go deeper on it. Checking the data is, okay, I said I wanted to, make more money. And I set a goal. Like I said, I want to make $10 more a day, right? Like, let's just put a thing on there. And I took action. I posted in my stories. I did this, I did that. I did a couple things. And then I'm checking the data. Okay, I made $10 more a day. Woohoo. Let's look back and look at the action steps that I took. Cause now I'm going to repeat the process because the system, now I'm going to implement the system, which gets to the manifesting system, right? The system that sets me up for success. So I'm walking in being the woman who, and now I'm creating a system that I just get to duplicate and duplicate. When I check the data, if I like the data. Okay, now I'm going to check the data. I don't like the data. The data is not showing me that I'm making $10 more a day, right? And so then before I go back to looking at the action, I'm actually going to be willing to change. So I know what I want. I take action. I check the data. My next key to manifesting anything I want is being willing to change. What story am I living in? What action or inaction am I doing that is taking me farther from as opposed to closer to?
Prior to maybe a month or so ago, I would have felt really called out by that again.
About being willing to change.
Yeah. And it's not like you think. I think we think that we are, but then like you're saying, you look at the data and you figure out like, well, maybe you're not really. So when I was struggling with the sleep cycle with mostly JJ, my youngest one, it was really hard to be willing to set up habits around his unpredictable sleep so that I could focus on what I wanted to focus on. And right or wrong, I think there was a level of unwillingness because I valued my sleep so much. I'm like, I think this is my season. I need to sleep and I need to accept that. But there was that part of me that's like, but I need to do something to move the needle forward and I'm not doing it. And then so there's this up and down of emotions. And I finally, though, now that he has been mostly, knock on wood, sleeping through the night now, I have made it a priority. I am a woman who gets up a couple hours before my kids tend to wake up. And I've got a whole routine established now and my non-negotiables. And I'm still going a little slower moving this needle forward than I'd like to, but it's going. So like I've become more willing now to actually get up when the alarm goes off. Whereas before I was not willing to make that change.
And that like beautiful, right? Because we'll just stop ourselves when we're unwilling, right? And here's what happens. So we know what we want, we take the action, we check the data, and then we say, okay, be willing to change a belief, change my identity. Your identity was not the woman who was willing to, right? Right? You literally changed your identity and an action and a belief, like you did it all. Because it all got encompassed into the identity. When we get to that, be willing to, and I'm going to hit all 7 so that we can take them back. They're literally like a yardstick. So be willing to, and then the next 2, they're 2 combined together or no, they're not. I'm lying. The next one is excellence. The next key to manifesting anything is excellence. Showing up in excellence, not to be confused with perfection, which is a myth and does not exist. Excellence is, how do I get to have more joy and more ease in this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wouldn't that be excellent? To have more joy and more ease? How do I get to show up at my best, joyful and creating ease in this thing that I want, in this way I want to behave? That is a really good like check too, because I'm not saying it's going to be easy and it will only be full of joy. And there gets to be ease in creating a soul aligned business. There gets to be ease in creating that routine that is there to serve you, not to stifle you, not to make you feel bad. A routine is there to support you. Like your morning routine, it's strictly to support you. It is a foundation for supporting you. If it's not doing that, it's not your routine then. Like it's not if it's not serving you, if it's not supporting you, it's time to be willing to change. Right?
Yeah.
Once we find excellence, our personal best, how can I find more joy and more ease in this? Then the two are gratitude and integrity. And integrity to ourselves. You know when you're out of alignment. You know when you're drawing your line in the sand about what you're willing to do. All of these things, any of these steps can come in at any time. So if we got to 4, if we know what we want, take action, check the data. The data's not what I want. I get to 4, and that's be willing to change. This key to me manifesting anything I want. I also get to look at, okay, I looked at the action. I get to look at know what I want. Do I really want this? Am I willing to be the woman who? Maybe this is what I thought I wanted. Maybe, like everyone has a morning routine, so I should have one. Maybe I should it all over myself and created this goal, right? So we're constantly like checking that. We get to the bottom, gratitude and integrity. And when I say gratitude, like a foundation of gratitude changes everything. When you are from the place of everything is happening for me, not to me, right? Like I am the creator of my own reality. When you're from a foundation of gratitude, everything is different. You're different. You show up different. You vibrate energetically very differently, right?
Yeah.
You have a different vibration. And then integrity, being in alignment with yourself. I say I want this, but what am I doing? I say I want this, but what am I thinking? I say I want this, and we get to find that alignment. Because when we're out of alignment, there's no ease and there's no joy in it. Right? And then when we're out of alignment, the action isn't getting me what I want. When we're out of alignment, so we get to just constantly like smack everything up to that. So know what you want, take action, check the data. That I'm always going back to checking the data too. Like, anytime that's always like, oh, let's just check the data. Like be willing to change, excellence, showing up in excellence, and gratitude and integrity. And so those are like the basic, this is how you manifest anything you want. This is how you create the results that you want. This is how these are your keys to success. Now to go deeper on that is mastering our outcomes. So that's the surface level roadmap for you. Now let's go a little deeper and let's talk about master, like MASTER. So in order to master our outcomes, the outcome itself absolutely must be meaningful. That's the first M. So meaningful that I am all it. Nothing is going to stop me from creating a morning routine that supports me throughout the day. Nothing is going to this is so meaningful to me. When we talk about meaningful, having this will give me what we can go 7 whys deep on why do I want this thing or why do I want this outcome for my life, for myself. So 7 whys deep. And what will having that do for me? And what will having that do for me? And what will having that do for me? Like get really deep on it. for yourself, because this is how it's a compelling reason to continue to show up when your willpower is over, because that was a finite resource, right? It's finite. It's
That was
like the
me
battery
the
on your
last 2
phone.
weeks. Like
There's
I had
like,
none.
we don't want to operate out of willpower.
Right.
Will center, our sacral, right? Right. I mean, our solar plexus, right? Like we want to operate out of that, but not willpower like that. We don't have to. We get to tap into a greater power than willpower. So meaningful. The A is for act as if. This is be, do, have. This is, I am being the woman who, I'm doing the thing she does, and then I'm having the outcome that she has. I am acting as if already. And so if we're talking about scaling a business, we want to scale a business to $1 million. Okay. And side note, like first we want to scale to $50,000. Like let's, like let's be realistic too. And let's say you're in the position to scale a business to $1 million, right? Actually, let's go 50,000. Let's say, because I want to give this example that I'm feeling like is going to be a really good one. So we want to scale our business to $50,000. Okay. And right now, we're not, we've made 20 last year, let's say, right? If we're acting as if some of the things that a $50,000 business will need, right? We get to start walking in that. We get to start making decisions like a $50,000 CEO as opposed to a $20,000 side hustle. Right?
Yeah.
We start creating processes. So when we're acting as if, we also scaling to that looks like delegation and hiring, right?
Ooh.
And so, now we're scared, right? The woman who is all in to scale her business, $30,000 next year, right? To up to $50,000. She walks different. She thinks different. She reads different books. She hangs out with different people. So we are acting as if, and then you just keep like, whatever that next level is. Okay. What things can I do to embody her right now? What processes do I get to put in place? So that's acting as if. Now the S stands for sensory. We are diving in a swimming pool of being this human. Like, what am I going to see? What am I going to hear? What am I going to taste? What am I going to feel? Like when I'm scaling my business, okay, now let's go to 1 million. When I'm scaling my business to 1 million, am I having a champagne lunch once a month? Like, I don't know. You know what you're doing, right? So what are you tasting? What are you smelling? What are you hearing? What are you seeing? What's happening around you? Who are you being? Like diving into a swimming pool, embodying the woman who. Again, this is going to get you through when you don't have any motivation and nothing is going to stop you. You don't physically feel like you've got motivation, but nothing is going to stop you. And we're saying master the outcome. And the magic is you become her and she can master any freaking outcome. So all of our senses are in it, all of them. And then the T stands for toward. So we want to come from the energy and the vibration of moving to what is waiting for me. Now, here's a really good example. So if we decide that we want to lose weight, okay, and I was a health coach in another life, so I worked with a lot of people on weight loss. The energy in I hate my body, I want to lose weight, is a good catalyst, but a shitty best friend.
Yeah.
That energy will not sustain you for the long haul. It's a good catalyst. It's a good, like, I'm done. We're moving out of here, right? Like we are going. It's a good jumping off point. The energy of toward, the energy of I love myself and my body so much that I want more for me. That energy to move toward is sustainable energy.
Yeah.
The energy of moving away from, like, I hate this, I want to run away from it, kind of a thing. There's shame, there's guilt, there's so much in that energy that, again, it can be a really great catalyst. It can be like, that's it, I'm done being a broke healer. Like, I'm done, and you get to immediately flip the switch into, and now I'm moving to all that there is for me, because I'm going to start embodying this woman and I'm going to start walking as this woman. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
2 more letters and jump in anytime.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I've got.
Yeah, okay.
I'm letting you go,
Got some
and then
notes?
I
Got
have
it.
like
Okay,
some
good.
things
Got
that I
some
want to go
things.
back to because
Okay, good.
otherwise I'll go
Super.
off on big tangents and then we'll never come back.
Okay, cool. So we've done MASTE. E is the next letter, and that's energy and excitement. Like, we want to be excited about being her and energetic about being her, right? And how do we get to create energy? So if we're acting as if, and we're having the identity literally of this woman, right? Because we're saying outcome, but really we're past outcome already. It's just helping us get to a milestone because we're just going to keep hitting those milestones because we're becoming her. She knows that food gives her energy or it takes it away. Mm-hmm. It's not bad or good. She doesn't live in guilt and shame. Her energy moves forward. Her energy says, this is an emotion and I'm having a bad day. And tomorrow I'm going to move forward. Like she doesn't shame herself for being tired the first 2 weeks of the year. She doesn't, right?
I did for a while. I needed help getting out of
that. and it's okay.
Yeah.
Because what we haven't said about any of this is you are in the habit of being you, the way that you are right now. Mm-hmm. And so as you're creating these new places that you want to go, mentally, physically, spiritually, you will bump up against habits that no longer serve you.
Yeah.
And then you'll get to recognize them and how to rewire to create better habits. And we can talk about that. If we have time, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
So the last letter is R, and it is responsible. And this might be different than some people are thinking. Like, yeah, you're responsible. First of all, when you want to master an outcome, when you want to master a way of being, it has to be completely based on you. So I'm just going to use you as an example. Setting an outcome and or wanting to create an identity and then saying, but JJ's got to sleep. Mm-hmm. It's not on JJ. Right? Like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so it's a really good way to look at, well, I want to lose weight, but my husband has to take walks with me. It's not on your husband, right? Mm-hmm. Or on your significant other. Like, I'm not saying you don't absolutely deserve support and aren't worthy of support. What I am saying is when push comes to shove,
yeah,
the only thing that you can control is you. So R stands for
no one can see me, but I'm nodding wildly over here.
Yes. R stands for responsible. One, that you are responsible for creating what happens, that it can't be based on someone else showing up for you. Like this is based on you. And it also stands for, and we may have spoken about this last time, I can't remember, we can live at cause or we can live at effect.
Yes, we did talk about that. Yeah. But I need that reminder. Yep.
So another word for R is power. Because when we live at effect, we give away our power. Mm-hmm. When we say the wind this and Mercury retrograde that, and this, hey, we all do it, right? When we come up with a list of excuses and reasons why we're not standing in our power and not manifesting what we want, we are at effect. We are truly embodying the woman who thinks everything is happening to her and not for her. And there's no shame in that. It's a recognition of, is this the woman I want to be?
Yeah.
Is this the human I want to be? Right? When we shift into cause, when we are responsible, when we take our power, we get a list of results. Might not always like them, but we say, I created those. And so I can create something different from that. Mm-hmm. So that is how the keys to manifesting anything we want, and then mastering our outcome goes even deeper on that. Like, it takes you to the next level of that.
I feel like,
right, hit me.
I feel like Carrie needs to, as I'm editing this, take some more notes and then do some homework. But I wanted to touch on when you were talking about the 7 keys. And first of all, going with the idea of like, do I really want this? And, when you've reached those first few steps and then you're like, well, hang on, I don't like the data. Do I really want this? I've noticed, I've seen that with myself over the years. And I've also seen a lot of people that I follow talking about this lately, where they finally realize like, well, no, I only set this goal because everyone else was setting this goal, or everyone else in my industry was setting this goal. So I said, okay, I guess that's my next goal, or that's what I have to get to. And then they're realizing that things aren't happening exactly how they expected them to because that wasn't really what they wanted. Like for me, one of my examples that I always mention is I'm still now technically part of an MLM. I do doTERRA, but I haven't really done much with it lately. But as far as like growing the business with any of the companies I was ever with, is not a reflection on the company or the people or the products or anything. I just eventually realized I do not have any interest in growing a team. I just don't. And I kept thinking like, well, maybe if I'm, doing this versus that and this product over this product or something like that, if my fire's still going, maybe it'll be easier. And I'm like, no, I still don't want that. So I always found it hard to try and do any of the recruiting side of it because I wasn't fully in that energy of actually wanting it. I didn't really want it. So I was like, yeah, exactly. I guess, So I think it is important to evaluate, do you actually want the goal or the habit or whatever it is that you've set for yourself? Like, is it truly something you want and you're not just doing it because you think you have to or someone told you should?
Right. And so that was a perfect example. And what it made me think of is for a couple of years now, people have been at me to have a podcast of my own. Oh. And I'm like, that is way too much damn work. I'll just go be a guest on a podcast.
Yeah. Or 72 of them.
Oh, yeah. So side note, everyone. So goal setting versus goal getting. One of the huge intentions I set this year is that I want to appear on at least on 72 or more podcasts in order to increase my visibility, to serve more people, to provide more value. And I put that intention out into the universe, and I have been taking tons of action in it. And at the same time, Carrie asked me to come back on the podcast because we always have a great time, and we want to bring it to you in a way that's actionable and you can take it and just run with it. And so when we set a huge intention and we're walking in it and it's in full alignment with who we are, the universe will open doors continually when we surrender to whatever it's going to look like, however it's going to show up. I'm going to take actions towards what I think, and I'm willing to, let other ways come in like that.
It's like that halfway thing where like you leap and the universe will catch you.
Yes. Which is exactly how I started my business, left a full-time gig to just start coaching several years ago. Leap and the net will appear, right? Like I was just like, okay, I'm just going. Like it's all going to work out. I'm just going to do it. I do think that it's fair, and we would be remiss if we didn't say, you also are in the habit of liking the known. I mean, in general, all of us. Yeah. And so when we set a goal, like we say we want this thing, and then we take action, and then we check the data, and it's like, do I really want this? We also get to do the little check, like, am I just copying out?
Right.
Because I'm not seeing results that are going to be long-term. I mean, it's so easy to like anytime we want to like creating a new habit, like going to bed earlier, creating a morning routine. I had a terrible habit for years and years of literally picking at my fingers. Ooh. And I am now like strong, like day 100 of not. Like I decided that was, I was not that woman anymore. This habit did not serve me, and I was going to do whatever it took. Was it hard? Did I find myself like with my fingers in my mouth without even knowing? And I was like, whoa, that's not who you are. Mm-hmm. Like, whoa. And really, could I have just said, screw this? Like, yes. And so there are times when we get to say, okay, am I just, wimping out from the work? And I say wimping out, like you can do hard things. You might not want to all the time, and that's perfectly okay. You really get to do that little check, that integrity. Right. This is the integrity check at the end, right?
Yeah.
Is this the person that I want to be? And am I just like thinking it's too hard? Or are these someone else's goals? Are these my industry's goals that I thought I needed to have? Are these some construct? Is this some construct of beauty that the world has put on me that I need to look a certain way? And, you know, those kinds of things. So I agree with you. And you also get to do the little like,
yeah, I'm glad
you really showing up for myself.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that too, because that was the other point I wanted to bring up is like making sure you know the difference between no, I actually do not want this versus it's just a little too hard and I don't feel like doing it, you know? And I also just, again, from a personal standpoint, wanted to go back about checking the data. And I guess tying in the being willing to change too, but looking at the data and then not taking it personally. Because
I'm so glad you said that.
For me, like, and I've mentioned this, I think, even on the podcast before, I'm someone who definitely can go back and look at the data and then come away with, I suck, I'm a failure, you know, and it might stop me for a little bit before I can be like, okay, no, never mind. I need to just keep going. And just looking at it in that particular situation, just as data to figure out, are you doing what you need to do to move the needle forward, you know?
Exactly. And the key was at the end, move the needle forward, right? There may be some actions that you get to stop. Like, okay, this is, you called this into the universe before we started. You're like, Carrie's going to get a coaching session. So what you just said, like beautifully, authentically, I can get into the place where I suck. Okay. One of the actions that you get to stop is saying that to yourself, right? Like the woman who recognizes the habit wanting to come up. And guys, don't hear me say like, this is simple. Don't do it anymore, Carrie. That's it.
Right.
That's
like,
not
okay,
what I'm saying.
flip the switch. We're done.
Yeah. What I am saying is
I wish it were that easy.
You get to recognize, oh, that habit of behaving a certain way, of giving meaning to this thing is coming up for me. I call this a habit mantra. I do this with my clients all the time. So let me just backtrack for a second. Your brain does not hear don't. When
I just said that to my class yesterday. I just said this.
Anyone who has children knows that when you say, don't spill the milk, what do your kids do? Oh, the milk comes everywhere, right? Like, don't drop that. Don't, your brain doesn't hear don't. It just doesn't. It does not hear don't. So when you get into a habit battle of, I suck, don't think that. I suck, don't think that. I suck. This is all your brain is hearing is you suck.
Right.
Right? Like it's not hearing you try to willpower your way out of it. So instead of engaging in it, in this battle, right? I call this the pink elephant mantra, because if I say to you, don't think of a pink elephant, you're thinking of a pink elephant. Most of you just thought of a pink elephant. So this habit comes up that you no longer want to be a party to, right? You don't want to engage in it anymore. It comes up, you recognize it, no shame, no guilt. You're like, oh, I see you habit. I see you habit of wanting to say I suck. I see you habit of wanting to give a meaning to this, that I'm just deciding arbitrarily, right? No one answered the poll in my story, so I suck. We've all been there. And yet, no, they just didn't, the poll just wasn't compelling. It doesn't have anything to do with you, right? Or no one saw it, or they went to go back to a million things,
or they thought they clicked on it and they actually didn't.
Exactly. You thought it posted and it didn't. Like so many things, but we give this like hard and fast meaning. We make this decision. So this habit comes up of whatever it is we've recognized now, this doesn't serve me. I don't want to be her anymore, right? Like thank you. And so we see the habit and then we go, I see you habit. For me, you're a thing of the past. I move my attention to, and we move our attention to, what do we want to create inside ourselves instead? I move my attention to. It takes a lot of practice. I'm not saying it doesn't. And once you like hit the sweet spot, there's no practice in me picky like this is not in my identity anymore to be a woman who has yucky, painful hands, like picking her hands. Like, to me, a successful, when I see myself successful, that is not what I see. When I see myself as $1 million entrepreneur, that is not what I see. And so it was meaningful. I was all in. This is now my identity. Like it maybe took 40 days or so of constant practice, of constant reminding, of constant, when I would notice my hands, congratulating myself, casting votes, saying, look at you, you're that woman, you're walking in her. And it's the same thing for you, Carrie. So and all of you, with any habit that you're wanting to switch, when you notice yourself being the way you want to be and not falling into that habit, go, yeah, me, look at me, I'm doing it. You're casting votes for that identity continually that way. And it takes practice.
Yeah.
It takes practice.
Well, I'm thinking while you were talking too about one of the ideas, I guess, or things that came up for me yesterday when I was going through and journaling a little bit and trying to come up with figuring out, really getting laser focused, clear on what I do, why I do it, who I'm trying to help, what kind of transformation I'm aiming to help them have, and then how I'm going to do that, all of that stuff. I realized that so often I do this in a notebook, and then I close the notebook and I put the notebook away. Or even if I keep using that notebook, I never go back to that page. So I had a revelation yesterday, as small as it might be, but it was big for me. I'm like, I need to take these pages out and either post these exact pages or rewrite them on something that it's going to be in my face all the time. And I feel like that's going to help me be my reminder to not think those thoughts, or to be able to flip the switch when they come up quicker, so that I don't stay in that energy for too long. Because
Absolutely.
I think having that reminder for me not only settles me down and calms me down a little bit, but then it's easier for me to remind myself of the things that I have done that gratitude, I guess. Like,
the votes that
things
you've
are
already
happening.
casted
Like,
for that, Carrie.
this is what I have
Yes.
done, and it's evidence that I can do more.
Exactly. And having it displayed for yourself as well. Like, I move my attention to my vision board. I am that badass. I move my attention to, like, everyone's not going to align with me. Like, it doesn't mean I suck. It means I'm finding the people that are aligned with me, right? Like, all kinds of things. We'll have to do a whole nother episode on the meaning that we give things, and how to change a meaning and how to rewire your brain from meaning, because we all do it. And we do it without even thinking. We don't even realize it, honestly.
Well, it's like when I log into my, Aweber, the email service that I use, right in your face. I think a previous version of it was like lower. So like you had to scroll down to see your stats. And now when you log in, it's like, boom, this many people subscribed and this many people unsubscribed. And I'm like, I log in now and I try not to look and just like go click on what I need to. Because I don't mean to, but I assign meaning to it. And I got to remember, like, I unsubscribe from people all the time, and it's not anything about them. It's just,
I'm so glad you just said that. I'm so glad you said that, because that's a perfect way, because we all get that, like, because we want to be liked.
Right.
It's just a thing. Right. And yes, I unsubscribe too. What I've heard someone else talk about unsubscribing and saying, like, it doesn't mean I never want to hear from you again. It means I'm not in the season to receive right now. That's all. And maybe it means I never want to hear from you again, because there are people I unsubscribe to because I'm like, it's out of alignment with me now.
Right.
Like
I don't need this anymore. I needed it before, but now I don't. And
exactly. There's a million reasons based on the other person.
Right.
Like, unsubscribing is completely based on the person who unsubscribed, and not a reflection of you not being amazing and enough and providing and shining your light. It does not mean that. It does not mean that.
Right. And it's
And
just making room for more of the people who do need me at this moment.
exactly. Especially if you're on a system. Here's the beauty of an unsubscribe. So for you, like true data numbers people that are listening, if you're on a customer management system that charges you per person, you want those people to unsubscribe that are no longer aligned with you, because you don't want to pay for them to be on there. It's all good. It's all good.
Oh, well, I feel like you mentioned something else to get to. I don't know if we have time. I guess it's up to you if you think we have time or not. I'm good. So if you want to.
Awesome. There was two things. So first, when you talk about, I said a big intention for the year.
Yes.
You said you wrote down goals. Goals are a direction, they're a name, they're a purpose. Outcomes are what actually happens, right? We've got processes in there, the process that you use. So I want to say something about process and identity. So I personally pick a word for the year. And last year, my word was intentional. And when I looked back over the year, I was really pleased in the way that I used that like North Star. And so here's what a word of the year can be for you when you are deciding what you want to accomplish in the year, how you want to grow, who you want to be, what you would like to bless and release, right? Mm-hmm. It can be this beautiful North Star. It gets to be something that supports you. And if it isn't, then don't do it. Mm-hmm. This is like anything else, right? Morning routines are meant to support you and build this amazing, beautiful foundation for you to start the day at your best. If that's not what's happening, then you get to find a new process, a new strategy, and you get to even ask yourself, is this really what I'm looking for? Or would I really like a nighttime routine? Because I'm way more a night person that could really like set myself up for success that way, right? Like there's so many questions.
That's interesting because for a long time I kept thinking that, like, I always considered myself more of a night person, like a night owl than a morning person. But when I looked at it, I also realized that once I'm up, like the getting out of bed is the hard part, but once I'm up, I actually really enjoy, like even before kids, after kids, I've always enjoyed the peace and the stillness of the early morning. Mm-hmm. And then I was trying to figure out, like, once I had kids, like, okay, but I'm already awake. I don't have to fight getting out of bed. I'm here. I should do something and work after the kids go to sleep. But it's actually so late that by that point, and after our routine together of settling down, I'm like, I've settled down. I just want to go to bed. So I'm not going to be focused. I'm going to be all groggy and I'm not even going to do my best work. So it's not even worth it. But then I'm like, I also don't feel like getting up in the morning. So what do I do? So I realized over this last month or so that, you know what, I really do prefer to just go to bed and get some good sleep in and have that quiet stillness in the morning. So I decided that's the routine that serves me. The morning routine serves me better than trying to force a night habit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. See what happens when we check the data, and we start bumping it up against all of it. Like, how can I have more joy and ease in this? And am I is this who I want to be? Like, are the results, are the things that I think I'm going to get from this, am I even going to get that from it? Right. It's a constant, and we get to do these check-ins all the time and they become automatic. Friends. Yeah. Like at this point, you're like, oh my God, how many questions do I have to ask myself? But when you embody the woman who, you're automatically asking these questions because you're walking differently. You're walking differently. Mm-hmm. So I say all that to say, word of the year gets to be one of those goals. It gets to be one of those outcomes. Here's how I like to use mine. So this year, my word is not nearly as sexy, although just as effective. It is simplified systems.
Okay.
Last year in November, it came to me, that gets to be your word, honey, because you got some work to do in that area. I don't love the back end of anything, right? Like, oh, that sounded funny. I don't love the back end of the business, the automations, I don't know, I think the email automation. Pretty nice. And I got booty goals. It took me to almost 50 to finally get a butt, right? From squats and everything else. No Hank Hill butts over here.
Anyway,
I don't like the
back
back
end of
end of
business
the
stuff.
business, right? If I'm 100% honest, I want to come and talk to people like you. I want to coach clients. I want to change lives. And I feel like all that behind the scenes stuff I have felt in the past, like this just takes me out of like my zone of genius, right? And yet it's so necessary. Like there's no getting around it. I don't want to be the crazy coach who can't, oh yeah, I'll get that to you. I don't know where it is, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to do that. And so I have this year, starting last year even, really started simplifying systems and noticing where I don't even have a process or a system that deserves one, that I deserve to have it more joy and more ease in it, right? It's a necessity and I get to create it the way that I want to. So just an example is simplified system, then I am bouncing all my decisions off of that. It is literally a North Star for me. Am I going to enroll in something else? We talked about before the podcast, we talked about like enrolling in courses and programs and stuff like that.
You don't want to know how many I have open to finish right now.
I can't, you don't, same friend, same. So here's a way that I get to ask myself, is this going to create a simplified system in my life? If I make this decision, if I invest in this, now everything won't necessarily like go up to that, but it is my North Star for my business and my life for the year. How do I get to simplify the systems and the processes that are happening? How does dinner planning get to be easier? I mean, all of it, right? Any system that I have in place, how do I get to simplify that for myself? Because I deserve the ease. I deserve it. So that's what I love about a word of the year is it gets to be the overarching intention and goal of the year. And you get to just keep like using it as a yardstick. You get to keep smacking your decisions up against it. You get to, when you ask yourself like, okay, who am I being right now when I have papers strewn everywhere? Okay, this is me. And if I have papers strewn everywhere and I've got this automation half done and this and that, am I being the woman who is embracing simplified systems? No. Okay, I have a choice now. There's no shame, there's no guilt. Am I going to walk like her, or today am I going to go and it's just going to be a mess, and tomorrow I'm going to show up as her because I'm growing and evolving and I deserve grace too. Right? I just really love it as a way to like wrap you get to wrap yourself in that word and say, does this fit me? Am I comfortable? And does it stretch me?
Yeah.
Right?
I typically have not done like a word of the year, other than I think a couple of times I might have said it and then like never really went back to it. And this is going to be a little funny. I kind of almost unintentionally set a word of the year because it just kind of like popped up like, oh, sure. And my first word in my head was intention. And then I couldn't stop and I added a couple others, but they kind of like, it's kind of like an umbrella. Like intention is the umbrella. And there's a couple things for me like taking action with intention and then being consistent. I've been better about being consistent, but there's more to do. So I need to continue on that path. And then in the last couple of days, because I've been literally getting smacked over the head with sign after sign after sign from the universe. So one of my words that I'm being told I have to embrace is bold. So that's in there somewhere.
I just
too,
got chills.
So.
I love intention for anyone who wants to embrace it because it transcends all space and time, right? Like, am I doing this with intention? Like, am I intentionally being a bitch right now? Or am I intentionally ignoring that I haven't eaten and that I need some more sleep? And that like, it can really be this transformative gift to ourselves. And these things get to support and serve you to step into next level you, not to defeat you, not to mire you in shame and guilt. So if those are the things that are happening, step back and just start to ask yourself some questions about how you get to show up. And are you showing up in a habit, an old way of being? Like, life really is happening for you.
Yeah.
And you get to trust that. You get to trust that.
Yeah. And I think one of the first steps for me in being more intentional and having intention behind what I do is that first step that I was doing yesterday. I'm really trying to get even more focused in on what I do, why I do it, who I'm trying to help, what their transformation is meant to be. So if I know where I'm taking them and why I'm taking them there, it's easier to have the intention behind what I post, what I say, what
the
I
action
do.
that you
Yeah.
take. Yeah.
So
exactly. And you being clear on it, like having that clarity also then it will just come through. The clarity will come through, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That
rather than
intentional
just
clarity
feeling like I'm throwing spaghetti at the wall.
will come through for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Identity, goals, processes. I would love to leave your listeners with, I created a really fun quiz about your goal-getting archetype.
Yay.
Because when we know how we currently show up in a system, the strategy that we're currently using, we can then say, okay, here's where I get to make a change. Because this is, I'm not being consistent. Like maybe I show up and I take action, but I do it really inconsistently. So you get to start looking at the strategies that you take on things. So it's just, and I know you'll put this in the show notes, but it's mindihuebner.com/goal quiz, goal, GOAL, goal quiz. And it's just a fun little personality quiz about what's your goal getter archetype, and knowing the process that you currently use then puts you in the position of creating a process that serves you better.
Now I'm curious. You're going to see my email pop up as like, Carrie subscribed for, I'm already on your email list. So you're going to see me again. Carrie's doing your quiz.
I'm going to, yeah. I know yours. I bet I know your goal getter archetype already, but I'm not going to.
Okay. Yeah, don't tell me. Don't tell me.
Okay.
I'll send you a message afterwards. Mindi!
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, it's just a really fun way. In order to go somewhere, right? In order to move to something, we got to know where we are. We can't set a GPS, right? You have to put in your current destination in order to set the next destination. And so it's literally just like, okay, like you are here on the map, right? Like you're at the mall, the red dot, you are here.
Yeah. Real quick, that reminds me of a mentor I used to follow years ago had an analogy about like, if you're lost in the middle of the forest somewhere and I show up and I give you a map and a compass, is that going to help you? And our first instinct to be like, well, yeah, I have a map and I have it. No, you don't know where you are. So how is this going to help you? Like, we need to figure out where we are first.
Exactly. And please don't ever show up with a compass for me, because I need to know that the Taco Bell's on the corner. And I turn left
yes.
there.
Oh my God. Same.
Don't tell me to turn in the direction of the lake, because if I knew where the damn lake was, I wouldn't be asking for directions.
I have figured out in certain areas, if I can actually figure out where the lake is, but once I start getting further out, then I'm like, I have no clue anymore. Same thing, like just tell me to turn by the BP at this corner, but to go left. Don't tell me to go north, tell me to go left.
Give me a break. I too know direction, especially where I live. I know that I live south of X and I know which way north is. However, for general purpose, I just give me the right and left and look for
not
the
that I
Taco Bell.
would necessarily use it while I'm driving, but my last guest actually informed me, and I think I knew this previously, but I forgot. There's actually a compass on the phone. There's like a compass app on the iPhone.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to pull it out while I'm driving. So
okay, so for your listeners that are local, for your listeners that are in the Milwaukee area, that's no good either, because 43 doesn't always run north and south, and 94 doesn't always run east and west.
That's true.
Sometimes
I do get confused on that. I'm like,
south. So
when am I on 94 and when am I on 894?
See? Exactly. I'm so glad to know that it's not just me.
I love talking to you so much.
Oh my
Mindi.
gosh. We always have such a good time. I hope what I love about your podcast is how conversational it is, and that the feeling that I hope everyone gets is the same feeling I get when I listen to your podcast and I'm not the guest. Like I'm sitting there talking with you guys.
Yay.
Like that I could get to chime in too.
Yeah.
And like, let's go have a coffee. Like, let's go, or wine or whatever, right? Like, let's go hang out because we can, it's so conversational and inviting like that. I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So invite me back. No, I'm just
Of
kidding.
course. And we've got to figure out a coffee date. So
I know. Because Carrie and I do live by each other in this crazy internet world, right? We're so fortunate that way.
Yay. Awesome. So MindiHuebner.com/goal quiz, right?
Yes.
For the quiz.
Yes.
And just MindiHuebner.com to figure out how to work with you. And follow her on Instagram and all that good stuff. And yay. And yeah, we're going to have to do a part 3 now. So.
Okay. Awesome. I can't wait.
So awesome and so fun to have Mindi back on the podcast. And yeah, we're going to have a part 3 now. So we will get that scheduled when it feels right. And I hope that you got a lot out of this. Again, probably one where maybe you're like me and you're going to want to go and take some notes, do a little bit of homework after this one. And if any of this resonated with you, Mindi and I both would love if you would share it. Take a screenshot, do a screen flow, post it to your social media, tag us, and let us know what stuck out for you. Make sure that you go visit Mindi's website, do that quiz. I'm really excited to go do that myself. I love quizzes. And of course, I always like to wrap up by inviting you into my Facebook group, The Energy Within. So you'll find the link for everything for Mindi, and you'll find the link for my stuff as well, all in the show notes. You can jump in the Facebook group there. I hop in once in a while for some card pulls, group Reiki, and there's constant posts in there with the intention of inspiring you, of awakening something in you. So, and feel free to share your own questions, your own pieces of your journey that you might feel would inspire somebody else. I welcome all of that. So hop on in. And if you're ready to go in and start shifting some of that energy like Mindi and I were talking about, go ahead and book a Reiki session with me. You can find, again, the link for that in the show notes. I would love to see you. I would love to work with you and help you reach that energetic level of transformation. Thank you so much, as always, for listening, and I'll see you next time.